everyone. You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The threat of Chinese loan apps continues to loom across the country with deadly consequences targeting the poorest of the poor. With the explosion of smartphones around the country, the number of loan apps has also multiplied, promising quick loans at the click of a button. But what unsuspecting customers face is malware that infects their phone and takes control of all their data, as well as heavy interest and hidden charges which balloon their debt. Following this, they are unable to pay, and that's when the app administrators unleash threats, blackmail and abuse. They threaten customers with releasing their personal information online, even morphing their images to name and shame them on social media. The victims don't get any respite from the police as well, as many police forces don't have the tools to track these scammers, who use layers of encryption to hide their numbers, addresses and digital trails. Such is the trauma of this operation that many are even driven to suicide. Just 24 hours ago, a couple from Rajamundi in Andhra Pradesh faced the same threats and abuse after failing to pay a 50,000 loan they took through a loan app. They in fact committed suicide by consuming pesticides, orphaning their two daughters, both under the age of 5. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has now ordered a crackdown on these online scams. The RBI will be preparing a white list of all legal apps and will mandate that only those apps be hosted online platforms. The RBI would also crack down on defunct NBFCs or non-banking financial companies, which play the biggest role in opening the gateways for these apps. Multiple NBFC licenses end up being used to set up dummy entities which allow lending operations from around the world, floated with zero due diligence. The Finance Ministry has also called for awareness drives to warn customers and bankers, but the threat continues as many can't ignore the opportunity to get quick money. The big question remains, because these are technically advanced scams, can the government effectively police these debt traps? Joining me now, Jitin Jain, cybersecurity expert. Andrew KP Leung is international and independent China strategist, joining me from Hong Kong. We also have Ankit, who is a victim from Delhi. Another victim is Aditya Sharma. Before I get the voices of those who have suffered at the hands of loan app scam, Jitin, coming to you. Several Indians have ended their lives owing to harassment by these recovery agents of unregulated digital lending apps, mostly linked to entities based in China. Probe agencies are now cracking the whip on such apps that lure customers into debt trap. But why has it taken so long? Because one may say that these predatory lending mechanism has been there for pretty long now.
I think, look, Maria, I think from last 1 year, I have spoken on multiple channels and several times on your channel.
Yes.
That, see, these are not predatory apps who are just indulging in obnoxious interest rate of 250% or 500% and, forcing people to commit suicide and all those things. There were bigger issues involved, issues of malware, issues of blackmail, and the invisible involvement of Chinese origin people procuring fake ID cards and Aadhaar cards from India, and then doing money laundering, sending money back to China. In last couple of months, again, on your channel, we did a show where we said that it is completely possible for government to put an end to this by doing two simple things: A, every single app except the ones which are whitelisted. Two, we have to figure out what these NBFCs are doing, because these loan fraud scams cannot survive without the backing of an NBFC. So which are those NBFCs which are giving indirect licenses, opportunities to these people? So once you scrutinize the role of NBFCs, you'll figure out how the money is flowing, who are the people involved. And number three, I think 500% interest, 600% interest for 3 months. And they're not only targeting poor people, they are also targeting youngsters who are in 18 to 26 in colleges,
so that is the
who
age
need quick
group.
money, I mean, sometimes to date and all.
Yes,
and then they are being driven to commit suicide. But Maria, there is a bigger issue of Chinese money laundering and blackmail, which is worth investigating in deep detail, because there are people, children of highly influential people who have been blackmailed in the past, to seek favors from their parents, otherwise threat of blackmail, and then making them do things which are illegal in nature. We have to look at from a national security point of view, not purely from a financial fraudulent point of view.
Yes. Andrew, this is like waging another kind of war against the country. If people are driven to suicide, and the fact is that there is money laundering, and I agree with Jitin when he says so, that is happening through these apps. What kind of nuisance is China trying to create through these apps?
Well, I don't think it's very fair for you to equate, or for any country to equate this kind of crimes, which happen around the world. It happened in Hong Kong, it happened in China itself, happened in Taiwan, happened in Southeast Asia. To equate all of them to China, I don't think it's very fair. But having said that, though, this is the kind of online crimes is a serious kind of phenomenon. As I said, I mean, China itself is cracking down on it. And then
parent companies are registered in China, Shenzhen, Beijing. Those are the details that had come in. And also, only because there is encryption at multiple levels, the security team here in India or investigating authorities could not do much. So it's high time China takes the blame for all the crimes that they are committing in India. So certainly they realize that this is a space where they can enter, and they are continuing to fool our investigating agencies.
Well, there are online,
they have found loopholes because of these NBFCs, and that is the reason why they are trying to get away with it.
Well, online criminals operate everywhere. As I said, in China itself is cracking down on them, and other countries are also doing the same. They happen also in the Western countries.
Okay, Jitin, can it be seen from the point of view what Andrew was saying, that why look at it only because it's China, because it's evidently these are Chinese loan apps, and not blame China though, because similar loan app, online frauds are happening in other countries.
Yeah, but in every other country, mostly at somewhere down the line in the back end, these Chinese people are involved. Yes. That's the whole thing. Let's take Andrew at the face value. Let's assume that China condemns all these activities and financial frauds, and they are a very clean economy. So let's return the money, the proceeds of loot and plunder. The money you've stolen from our economy, money you've looted from our people. First thing would be to hand over these people for Indian justice system, revert all the money, repatriate back to India so that these poor people can be compensated. And then let's proceed with the investigation jointly. What is stopping it? It's very simple.
Okay, Andrew, come clean.
Unless your national avatar of speaking something else, doing something else, and creating destruction in the world everywhere, like terrorism that you block, listing of
this is financial terrorism visibly.
And then support Pakistan and then give lectures of world peace.
Okay.
If you if you really are interested in a serious talk, and if you do not have ill intentions, then let's do two simple things: hand over the people, revert the proceeds of loot and plunder.
Andrew, will that happen?
Well, all I can say is
first there is no acknowledgement, Jitin. Then why will they actually return the proceeds of crime?
No, we will give the account number. We will give the name of citizens. We will give the account number. You agree to return the money. Our investigators will come.
Okay. Andrew, a quick response, and then I bring in the victims.
Well, if I am allowed a little bit of time for I to respond, if I may, okay. All I can say is that criminals, regardless of nationality, should be brought to justice. Whether they are Chinese, whether they are Indian, whether they're American, criminals are criminals. So let's
but not in case of China, because this is true for every democracy in the world, for every peace-loving society, that terrorists, irrespective of their nationality, should be brought to book and should be sent to jail. But for China, the principle is something different.
Let's listen to the stories of those who have actually suffered at the hands of these loan apps. Aditya Sharma is joining me, also Ankit. Ankit, I've spoken to in the past as well. We will be, getting his reaction to this couple that has committed suicide in Andhra Pradesh. But first to you, Ankit, to you, Aditya Sharma. Aditya Sharma, मुझे अपने बारे में बताइए, ये लोन ऐप का एसोसिएशन आपके परिवार से कब शुरू हुआ?
Actually, this started in February 2022. I was in need of some money, so these applications were easily suggested on Google Play Store.
Okay.
So when I applied in those loan apps, the amount which I applied was around 50,000. and there was some various applications. So when I applied over there, they took all my data, they took all my permissions from my phone.
Why did you give that
After
permission?
that, at the
Because at every stage a permission is
because
sought.
I thought it was legit.
Okay.
Ma'am, I thought they were legit because everywhere it's written over there, they are NBFCs, government approved.
Go ahead.
And if it is available on a platform like Google, that can be trusted, I guess.
And then what happened, Aditya?
So after I applied the loan, for an instance I can tell you, I applied a loan for 50,000 for a period of 6 months. But after the disbursal, the amount which was credited in my account was 2,500 rupees. And the time period was 5 to 6 days only. And on the 6th day, early morning, 7:30 or 8 in the morning, I was getting calls from different numbers, around 50 messages on my WhatsApp that pay right now, we have all your data, we leak your data, we have all your contact lists. They used to send me my contact list also to me. See, this is your contact list. And we will share your
So did they
mock
speak to you?
photos
Was
and
there a call
everything.
from a call center?
There were multiple people who used to call me on WhatsApp also and normal call also.
And they would speak in normal Indian Hindi, English?
No, in Hindi only, but in a very absurd and rude manner, an abusive manner. They used to abuse me early in the morning at 8 a.m.
Then?
That we are not here for you, pay right now, else this will happen, that will happen. They used to abuse my family. I paid them. This all happened.
And then you paid them back 50,000 rupees and
I
it
was
stopped.
not able to tell them. No, it didn't stop. Actually, I paid them and I didn't tell my family. So I took loans from some other applications and this all became a chain.
And what is the status right now?
The status right now is I've lost around 67 lakh rupees and still I'm getting calls and threatening messages and even threatening calls.
But you have taken loan.
Like,
How much loan
तू
in
पैसे
all?
दे रहा है या नहीं दे रहा है?
नहीं, आपने total कितना loan लिया था?
How much amount has been credited?
हाँ.
Ma'am, initially I took a loan of 1.5 lakhs, but after some time I was trapped, and after even taking help from my parents and from my friends, they used to credit my account. Like I took help from my parents. I paid them off. Even without my knowledge, my account was credited from their account. Like first 5,000, 6,000, and they were asking, now pay 12,000, 13,000. We don't know anything. You will pay your whole life. I used to get these kind of messages.
Jitin, you know,
अब
the
तू देख तेरा क्या
the
होगा?
point being made by Aditya here is that only because it was NBFC and it was on Google Play Store, they trusted it, they trusted the platform, and then he went ahead. So there is a question of the entire system in place, and that seems to be failing them.
No, so this is what, Maria, for any sort of financial entity to operate and disperse loans, you need some sort of banking license, which obviously they will not get. So the backdoor is to tie up with an NBFC for financial transaction, and you run the app as a front end. Now what happens, there are so many dormant NBFCs available, you bribe and hire or buy them out and use them. It's like this Jandan account being used for frauds. Hiring all these conmen are hiring Jandan accounts by giving 5,000 rupees to a poor farmer that you just rent your account and we'll use it and you'll get 5,000 rupees.
Okay.
Similarly, they are using these fake NBFCs just as a pretext or just as a this thing
So
to
these
have
are
a
fake
backend
NBFCs.
available to access to a payment gateway and banking system. But Maria, look what he said.
Okay.
1.5 lakh rupees and he's con with 67 lakh rupees. Is 500% interest, is 600% interest per month. It is not financial fraud at all. It is blackmail and money laundering at the
This is
pretext of financial fraud. This
extortion.
is what I'm trying to say.
This is
On the very
extortion,
second day,
absolutely.
your personal photos, your personal contact book, your personal
And in
chats are
fact,
stolen,
Ankit-
then the blackmail begins,
Ankit
and you keep paying
was
for
another
eternity,
person
and this will not
who
stop
was
unless and until.
Jitin at the receiving end. Let's listen his story as well. Ankit, abhi aapne dekha, we played that story of the couple who lost their lives, I mean, who committed suicide only because they realized that there was this entire web that they felt that they were trapped in.
एक्चुअली मैम मेरा मानना यही है, अभी जैसे आदित्य भाई से भी बात हुई थी, आदित्य शर्मा जी हैं, इन्होंने बताया सेम मेरे साथ भी हुआ था कि मुझे कुछ अर्जेंट रिक्वायरमेंट थी मनी का, तो मेरे पास गूगल पे और ये आपका फेसबुक, यूट्यूब, हर जगह ऐड आते हैं ऐप्स के इनके, तो मैंने इंस्टॉल किया। उसको इंस्टॉल करते टाइम मैंने देखा कि वहाँ पे एनबीएफसी से वो दिखा रहा है कि हाँ ये आरबीआई से रजिस्टर्ड है, एनबीएफसी से वेरीफाइड है, तो मैंने अप्लाई किया। अब एक छोटे से अमाउंट से शुरू हुई थी कहानी कि हाँ मुझे दिखाया कि 3000 रुपीज का अमाउंट ये मुझे देंगे। 3000 में मेरे पास डिसबर्स हुआ 1800 और 1900 के आसपास, और 7 डेज का मुझे टाइम दिया गया, और 6 डे, 6 दिन के अंदर अंदर 6 डे को अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग इन्होंने मेरे पास कॉल की, मेरे पास व्हाट्सएप पे और मेरे पास फोन पे मेरे पास कॉल आई, और कॉल पे सीधे डायरेक्टली बोलते हैं कि आज आपको पे करना है। मैंने उनको बोला कि पहली बात तो ये कि अमाउंट जो था वो 3000 रुपीज था, जो कि मेरे पास नहीं आया, आपने केवल 1800 रुपीज मेरे को अकाउंट में मेरे ट्रांसफर करे हैं। सेकंड थिंग कि डेट मेरी आज नहीं है, 7th डे कल है, तो उन्होंने बोला, वो फिर एब्यूजिंग लैंग्वेज में आ गए कि अभी पे करेगा नहीं करेगा। मैंने उनको बोला, मैंने कहा आपके यहाँ कोई मैनेजर है या कोई भी हायर अथॉरिटी है तो प्लीज मेरी बात करो, आप मेरे से ऐसे कैसे बात कर रहे हो। तो उनका कहना था कि रुक अभी दिखाता हूँ मैं तेरे को। थोड़ी देर में मेरे कॉन्टेक्ट लिस्ट में से मेरे 1-2 लोगों के मेरे पास फोन आए जो फीमेल्स थे, मेरी सिस्टर्स वगैरह रिलेटिव्स मेरे, उनके मेरे पास फोन आए कि उनके नंबर्स पे गंदे गंदे मैसेजेस बना के उनको फॉरवर्ड करे गए हैं। स्क्रीनशॉट मेरे नंबर पे भी शेयर किया गया। एट द सेम टाइम मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था, मुझे रोकना, मैंने तुरंत उनको कर दी। ये एक ऐप है, जैसे मैंने आपको 3000 रुपीज का है, एक ऐप के ही अंदर ये 4 से 5 वेंडर, मतलब कि अराउंड 15,000 रुपीज का अमाउंट हो गया, ठीक है। और जो डिसबर्स हुआ है मेरे पास केवल 7 और 8,000 के आसपास, इसके नीचे, तो मुझे पूरा पे करना पड़ा, मैंने कर दिया। उसके बाद मेरे पास कॉल आनी शुरू हुई कि हाँ आपकी लिमिट बढ़ गई है, आप एक जेन्युइन कस्टमर हो, हम आपकी लिमिट बढ़ा दी हमने आपकी, और अब आपको लोन इतना मिल जाएगा। मैंने इनको मना करा, व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज आया, मैंने मना करा, लेकिन फिर भी बिना मैंने परमिशन नहीं दी, मैंने अप्लाई नहीं करा। फिर मेरे अकाउंट में कुछ अमाउंट इन्होंने डिसबर्स करा। अमाउंट करने के बाद मैंने इनकी ऐप के अंदर इनके गूगल पे सर्च करा, एड्रेस वगैरह सब कुछ, कॉन्टेक्ट डिटेल्स, कुछ नहीं मिला कि जहां मैं बोलूं कि ये मैंने नहीं दिया तो आप मुझे क्यों दे रहे हो। कोई इनका कॉन्टेक्ट नंबर नहीं, कुछ नहीं। उसके बाद वही 6 डे, जैसे 6 दिन हुए, 7वें दिन इन्होंने सेम स्टोरी शुरू कि नहीं करेगा तो देख क्या करते हैं। इन्होंने मेरे कॉन्टेक्ट लिस्ट में जितने भी मेरे फीमेल नंबर्स हैं मेरे फोन में, सबके पास गंदे मैसेजेस, व्हाट्सएप पे गंदी गंदी कॉल करनी शुरू कर दी। मेरे को इतना हैरेसमेंट इन्होंने कर दिया, इतना हैरेस, इतना टॉर्चर मेरे को किया कि मेरी पूरी सोशल लाइफ मेरी खराब हो गई। कई बार लोगों को लगता था कि हाँ कहीं ना कहीं मेरा ही कोई फॉल्ट होगा, मैंने कुछ करा है ऐसा,
that certainly is a bigger problem to make these victims almost like pariahs in their society. Then they have to take a legal route. Yes.
मैम हर कोई,
Yes.
हेलो,
Yes, Aditya.
मैम इनका मैं आपको एक चीज बताना चाहूंगा, कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट पे ये इस तरीके से करते हैं। माई कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट वॉज देयर विद देम, सो इन माई कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट माई मदर्स नेम वॉज रिटन ओवर देयर लाइक मम्मी। दे वर कॉलिंग कि तुम उसकी मम्मी हो, तुम देखो क्या क्या होगा।
So they
And
involved the
my
entire
mock photos
family.
were shared with each. Even they called my 92-year-old grandfather कि your number is saved by the name of Dadaji. He is your grandson and he asked that you will pay, else you will face the circumstances.
Shocking. This is shocking.
And till date I'm getting these calls. Till date, ma'am, we approached everywhere.
You approached the police? Police ने
I
क्या बोला
approached
आपको?
the police. There is no relief from there.
No relief
There
from
is
there.
no relief from there.
So
They are just
certainly
investigating.
accountability has to be
They are
fixed,
just
and
investigating.
some relief has to be provided to victims like Aditya and Ankit, because we have seen only recently, just 24 hours back, what happened in Andhra Pradesh. Thank you so much for joining us, and you, KP Leung, Jitin Jain, Ankit and Aditya. Shifting focus to debate 2, which is politics over madrasas, which is continuing to peak. The Uttar Pradesh government has ordered a survey to identify illegal madrasas. CNN News 18 has accessed the questionnaire, which seeks details of the source of funding and all known affiliations of madrasa administrators. The state government says the survey of unrecognized madrasas aims to gather information about the number of teachers, curriculum and basic facilities to bring the institution at par with the requirements of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. The opposition has accused the Yogi government of interfering in the running of private madrasas and terrorizing the Muslim community. MIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi has called the survey a mini NRC aimed to harass the Muslim community. This comes amidst the crackdown on the madrasas in the state of Assam, where many clerics have been arrested on charges of links to Al-Qaeda and the Bangladesh-based Ansarul Bangla. 3 madrasas have been raised in Assam, which police claim were used to spread terror propaganda and recruit operatives. However, Congress delegation met the head of the Minority Commission, accusing the Assam Chief Minister of playing hate politics. As the war of words escalates, what are these actions indicative of in these BJP-ruled states? Is this a push for reforms in Uttar Pradesh and a crackdown on radicals in Assam, or is this reckless politics over faith?
Has been demolished by the district authorities. However, the first reason that has been sorted is that this has been made in a very unauthorized way. Other narrative that is coming is an arrest of Hafizur Rahman.
आप मदरसों को बदनाम भाजपा इसलिए करती है क्योंकि भाजपा जानती है कि आजादी की लड़ाई में कोई आरएसएस वाला नहीं था।
जिहादी वाला पकड़ा है असम में, तो वन कैन नॉट टेक इट इजीली। तो हम तो हेमंत जी कर रहे हैं, वो ठीक कर रहे हैं।
Joining me first on the show is Asaduddin Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi, really appreciate your time. He is MIM chief. Sir, why have you said that the UP government is not conducting a survey but a mini NRC? The state government says they want to look into what is being taught in these madrasas. Some will ask why paint this entire exercise and look at it from the religious prism.
Well, first of all, the reason I have stated what you have just told me is that because the survey, there is no need for a survey. Why? Because the Ministry of Higher Education headed by Dharmendra Pradhan, his ministry has done a UDISC survey of all registered, recognized and unrecognized schools, madrasas, how many classrooms are there, what is being taught, how many teachers are there. So number one, that can be taken care of. Secondly, why is this survey being done only for those madrasas which are unregistered but they are not illegal? So it is a targeted survey. Thirdly, the UP government is not doing this survey for private schools, for government schools, for every school, in fact, to know what exactly is being taught, how many toilets are there, whether drinking water facilities there are. And thirdly, you are doing this survey to accumulate data, which later on you will use to harass all these Muslims who are running these madrasas. And the last and important point, the madrasas which are registered on the UP Madrasa Board, the UP government has not given them salaries from last 5 years. There are dues worth 700 crores. And that is why you see in the month of May or June, the UP government had stated that they are not going to include any more madrasas in this Madrasa Education Board. And the whole idea is to create suspicion among other communities about madrasas.
Okay. Mr. Owaisi, NCPCR is saying that the UP government has every right to go and ask about the condition of the children in these educational institutions. In fact, their chief has said that their organization prepared a report which showed that 1 crore children are studying in unrecognized madrasas. He's also saying that no communal right can be above the right of the children.
Well, number one, as a constitutional body, the NCPCR has become a den of promoting Hindutva ideology, number one. Secondly, it is not in the functions of NCPR to tell a state government to do such a survey. Thirdly, the NCPR should know that if you are talking about children, what about those children who are studying in government schools? What about those children who are studying in private schools? What about the children who are studying in RSS-sponsored schools? Why is it that the NCPR has limited this so-called survey, which they have no right and no power to order such a survey? So NCPR is only concerned about I can give you examples where Christians were doing a Holy Communion for their children, which is an important part of the Christianity for the children. So NCPR writes a letter to the state government and then the Hindutva thugs go over there and stop it. So NCPR has become, unfortunately, a constitutional body, a den for promoting Hindutva ideology and to create hatred for Muslims and Christians.
Okay. Owaisi Saab, your opponents are saying that Article 30 argument will not be applicable in this case, as the government is also the custodian of rights of children out of school. Why do you feel, and not rhetorically, that this argument is flawed? Some may also say that right to education in fact flows from right to life under Article 21, which is also a fundamental right.
Well, you must ask these Johnnies. I can only increase their ignorance because they are stuck with the Hindutva ideology. The Right to Education Act does not apply to minority education schools, which are protected under Article 30. Simple as that. Right to education does not apply. They should go and read the Right to Education Act. In fact, they could even go to the debates of when the bill was being passed in the parliament. I happened to be one of the MPs who had raised the issue, and the government gave a clarification that the Right to Education Act does not apply to minority schools or madrasas. These madrasas are open Article 30. And may I ask, what is its urgency that you want to complete this survey by October 10? Why? Are skies going to fall? Why are you doing it? Why don't you pay the dues which are owed to those madrasas which are registered under Uttar Pradesh government? You have not paid the salaries of the teachers who are teaching maths and science over there. You are doing this to target the Muslim community. This clearly shows the hatred for madrasas which BJP has.
Sir, if there are several unrecognized or unregistered madrasas in UP, then these need to be recognized. All these madrasas need support of the government to run more efficiently and effectively. Why put a spanner if the government wants to help poor children as they are claiming to do?
Well, number one, these are unregistered madrasas which are not illegal. Secondly, they are being run on the zakat or the monies that has been given by the Muslim community. Thirdly, it is not a crime to establish a madrasa. Fourthly, why is the UP government not giving the salaries to the registered madrasas which are there on their road? Why is the UP government not accepting new madrasas under their education board? Simple as that. You have no right whatsoever to interfere, and all these madrasas are on ground. You talk about improvement. Why in UP there is the highest dropout rate of Muslim community? What have you done for that? Why have you not increased your minority ministry budget, which is only paltry sum? Why have you not increased that? So this clearly shows that the BJP has hatred for madrasas. Their whole idea is to close down all these madrasas, which will not happen. Their target is Darul Deoband. Their target is Jamia Ashrafia and Mubarakpur. Their target are all big madrasas. So this clearly, the idea is to close down all the madrasas which no Muslim will keep quiet now if they do such a thing.
But Owaisi Saab, Jamaat-e-Ulema Hind has extended support to the government.
They have not extended support. They have said that if I'm not wrong, that many ulama over there have said that this is not needed, and they have told the madrasa people, if I'm not wrong, that keep your papers ready, and if you need any legal help, we will take care of that. They have in fact voiced concern about this survey. But anyway, Jamiatul Ulama is competent to speak for their own program and their decisions. As far as Asauddin Owaisi is concerned, I am of the opinion that this survey is done only to target Muslims, to target madrasas, and the whole idea is to close down such madrasas.
Okay, sir. The larger question is, since you're calling this mini NRC, aren't you also sowing seeds of suspicion, especially in the minds of children studying in these madrasas?
No, it is the government which is doing this. It is the UP government which took a decision saying that every morning you must recite the national anthem. I mean, do they even know that the national anthem is recited in madrasas? National flag is hoisted, but what they say, we have taken the decision to install loyalty. Who the hell are you to install loyalty in madrasas and Muslims? And who gives you this right to even suspect my loyalty? Do I need to get a certificate from BJP and then only you give a loyalty certificate if I recite national anthem? It is the RSS which opposed Janagan Mana. They said on record that this was a song which was recited in the praise of an English king. That is the history. We don't need that. Why have you? And in fact, why are you not accepting new madrasas in the Madrasa Modernization Board? Because you don't have money to pay even the salaries, the dues. So we don't need such lessons from BJP at all.
Okay, you have condemned Assam government demolishing madrasas as well, but Assam Chief Minister has said that madrasas demolished were not madrasas, but in fact Al-Qaeda offices, and that the people of Muslim community in Assam are patriots, and they would not listen to Owaisi, and you will not succeed.
The Assam Chief Minister is lying. I am giving a specific example of Bojaigaon Madrasa. The building was standing for last 3 years. And you know what? The notice is given under the Section 26 Disaster Management Act. Let the Assam, and what the Assam Chief Minister on record, that Al-Qaeda terrorist organization, that is why we demolished this building. One employee was arrested, fantastic, very good, we go to court and get him convicted. But who gives the right to demolish a madrasa which stood there for 3 years? And 1:30 in the morning, you issue a notice, and you don't even give them time to go to the court. And in 1:30 a.m. in the morning, 260 students are accommodated in the house of the villagers. So this clearly shows that BJP does not believe in rule of law. They believe in rule of bulldozer. They have created a new jurisprudence of bulldozer. That is completely wrong. The Assam Chief Minister has no right to assume the powers of the Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court. You cannot demolish a madrasa which stood there for 3 years. You have demolished a madrasa to satisfy your sadistic behavior.
My last question to you, sir, and this is coming from the long thread that you put out regarding the hijab argument that is going on. You had disagreed with the Karnataka High Court judgment on hijab, saying that judgment suspended fundamental right to freedom of religion and culture, to freedom of speech and expression. Now that the Supreme Court has said that comparing hijab to Sikh turban is not fair, will you say that the Supreme Court should rule on the essential test, essential religious practice first, before moving towards hijab or taking the case forward?
In fact, I totally agree with you. And let me, at the cost of reiterations, state that yesterday the argument made by the learned counsel, Janab Nizam Pasha, were fantastic. The Nizam Pasha lawyer had made the same argument that it is an essential religious practice test, and already a 9-judge bench is looking into it in the Sabarimala, and it should be referred to it. Secondly, Nizam Pasha had rightly pointed out that the Karnataka High Court had unfortunately quoted a Quranic verse which says there is no compulsion religion to hold it that hijab is not mandatory. I mean, come on. I mean, this cannot be done. The Honorable High Court should have quoted Surah Ahzab, the Quranic verse on hijab. You have quoted a different ayah which does not talk about hijab at all. And thirdly, the Karnataka High Court judgment says school, is a public space and they equated it with prison. How can a school be with prison? So, and fourthly, my fundamental right does not drops at the school gate. Fourthly, Nizam Pasha had very illicitly put it that culturally have a right under Article 29, which is absolute right. And he rightly pointed out in his fantastic argument that under Article 29(2), if you're stopping a Muslim girl from wearing a hijab and going into a government school, it is a violation of Article 29. So, fantastic argument has been made. We must wait and see what the Honorable Supreme Court will decide.
All right. Asaduddin Owaisi, always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. Let me bring in my guests for joining us. Dr. Anurag Bhadoria is Samajwadi Party spokesperson. Janendra Burman is assistant professor at Cotton University, Guwahati. Sangeet Kumar Ragi is RSS thinker. We also have Shahid Ali, who is an advocate and leader of United Muslims Front. Mr. Bhadoria, why is it wrong to seek information, I would say, on educational institutions? All schools and colleges give this information to the government. Why should madrasas be exempt from it?
मुझे तो लगता है किसी ने ऐसा नहीं कहा। मदरसा का मतलब होता है उर्दू में, स्कूल को मदरसा बोलते हैं। ये तो बात समझ में आनी चाहिए। ठीक है, आप मदरसों की सर्वे करना चाहते हैं, करिए। मदरसे और स्कूल दोनों में हिंदुस्तान के बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, हिंदुस्तानी बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, चाहे स्कूल गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में जाते हो चाहे मदरसे में जाते हो। अब ये जिम्मेदारी सरकार की बनती है कि दोनों स्कूल के, मदरसों के और गवर्नमेंट स्कूल के बच्चों को एक नजर से देखे, बराबर की एजुकेशन दे। भाई अब गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में क्यों नहीं आप करना चाहते, उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में आप देखोगे तो रास्ता तक नहीं बना हुआ है। अगर बारिश हो जाती तो बच्चे अपनी टीचर को कुर्सी पे, अगर आपने देखा होगा, देखने को मिला होगा मथुरा में, बच्चे छोटे छोटे बच्चे चेयर लगा रहे अपनी टीचर को क्लासरूम तक ले जाने के लिए। कई बार आपने देखा होगा वहां पे कोई अभी तक कंप्यूटर तक नहीं लगे हैं स्कूलों में, गवर्नमेंट स्कूलों में, और बच्चों के पास जूते मोजे तक नहीं है, किताबें तक नहीं मिली है। 6-3 महीने हो जाते हैं और आप 1200 रुपए बच्चों को देते हो कि इसमें आप अपनी ड्रेसेस भी खरीद लो, इसमें किताबें भी खरीद लो और जूते मोजे भी खरीद लो। आपको मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि स्कूल और मदरसे आप दोनों को एक नजर से क्यों नहीं देखना चाहते?
चलिए, मिस्टर रागी, रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस. The point being made here of
एक सेकंड आप अल्पसंख्यकों का भी ध्यान रखिए, बहुसंख्यकों का भी ध्यान रखिए। आपकी जिम्मेदारी समाज के हर हिंदुस्तानी बच्चों के प्रति है। तो आप शिक्षा में तो कम से कम राजनीति मत कीजिए।
Okay, Sangeet Kumar Ragi, the point is, why no salaries? First pay the dues and then ensure that the madrasas become a place where there is effective education, because your intention is something that is being questioned. Sangeet Kumar Ragi, if you can hear me.
I think that, yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
I think that a couple of questions have been raised, and I start with what Mr. Bhadoria raised the question. That's a very important question, but that is different from the central issue, that why madrasas are being counted, why the survey of madrasa is being taken care of in the state of Assam and also in Uttar Pradesh. Because there are intelligence inputs, certainly the government are equipped with those intelligence inputs which raise finger towards the suspicious activities of the madrasa. There are number of examples where madrasas have been found involved in the terror activities. Terror modules have been identified, and the people have been arrested from Deoband Madrasas in Uttar Pradesh and also in Assam. And it was precisely the reason that when Assam Chief Minister was asked by a journalist, then he said that they were not madrasas, actually they were the Lashkar-e-Taiba office. Why a chief minister who is holding such a responsible position in the government is saying so? It is not the irresponsible act. He is saying with a sense of understanding that there are cases and which is on rise.
But how fair is it to just paint all madrasas with the same color? Anurag Bhadoria, quick response.
मैं इनसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, मदरसों के लिए तो सरकार ने यहाँ 558 मदरसे रिकॉग्नाइज किए। आपने बोला था उनको मॉडिफाई कर देंगे, उनका मॉडिफिकेशन कर देंगे, कंप्यूटराइज हो जाएंगे। क्या आपने कर दिया 3 सालों में? सीधा सवाल है। आप उत्तर प्रदेश के चीफ मिनिस्टर ने कहा था कि हम एक हाथ में कंप्यूटर होगा, एक हाथ में किताब होगी। क्या एक हाथ में कंप्यूटर पहुंच गया मदरसा में या स्कूल में पहुंच गया जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल है? दोनों जगह नहीं पहुंचा है, ना मदरसों में आपने पहुंचाया ना स्कूल में पहुंचा है। तो आप हिंदुस्तानी बच्चों का अगर ख्याल रखना चाहते हैं तो दोनों जगह आप कंप्यूटराइज कीजिए ना स्कूलों को। किसने रोका है आपको? आप गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में
Mr. Burman, I want to understand
मदरसा को भी कंप्यूटराइज
from you as to what is happening in Assam here, because reports are suggesting that these clerics who are in custody have been coming to Assam since 2019. Why has it taken so long for this crackdown on terror nexus allegedly? Dr. Burman, can you hear me? Okay, we seem to have lost that line. Shahid Ali, the state government says this survey aims to ensure children in madrasas are getting the best education. Madrasas are being raised in Assam due to links to terror group. Is this opposition for the sake of opposition and in turn some kind of reckless politics?
First of all, I would like to tell that the framers of Constitution, when the Constitution was framed, I think were conscious of the fact that the time will come when some people with communal mindset will come to the power and they will start all these things. Therefore, they inserted Article 30 in the Constitution. Article 30 in Constitution confers rights upon minorities to establish institution of their own choice, quote unquote. Specifically, this has been mentioned therein, and the Honorable Supreme Court time and again, many of the cases has said so.
No, but then the question is of the push for transparency. If there is a push for transparency in education system, which has been opaque for decades, then why not take it in the right spirit?
My suggestion to these communal-minded people is that if you have courage, if you have courage, please delete Article 30 from Constitution.
On rise in India the way they were before
delete
partition.
Article 30 from Constitution. Otherwise, please shut these kind of bakwas. Every day, you people have made the life of Muslims
Yes, it should be
impossible
deleted.
to be endured. What kind of winter do you want?
Yes.
Where you are leading this country? For which? For this thing?
Yes. It should be amended and it should be deleted.
For this thing from
It should
Madrasas,
be.
1,25,000 students from Madrasas,
It should be deleted.
their lives to hear these kind of things.
Everywhere
What is going on
involved,
here?
Salafi,
If you have
Deobandis,
courage,
madrasas are involved in
please
radicalizing
delete
the
Article
young
30,
Muslim
please
mind,
remove Article 30
and
from
therefore there
Constitution.
should be a stop.
Please abrogate the Constitution.
Okay, we have to go straight to the speech that is being given by King Charles III, and that speech is being delivered in London. We are cutting across to it.
In all the countries where the Queen was head of state, in the Commonwealth and across the world, a deep sense of gratitude for the more than 70 years in which my mother, as Queen, served the people of so many nations. In 1947, on her 21st birthday, she pledged in a broadcast from Cape Town to the Commonwealth to devote her life, whether it be short or long, to the service of her peoples. That was more than a promise. It was a profound personal commitment which defined her whole life. She made sacrifices for duty. Her dedication and devotion as sovereign never wavered through times of change and progress, through times of joy and celebration, and through times of sadness and loss. In her life of service, we saw that abiding love of tradition, together with that fearless embrace of progress, which makes us great as nations. The affection, admiration, and respect she inspired became the hallmark of her reign. And as every member of my family can testify, she combined these qualities with warmth, humor, and an unerring ability always to see the best in people. I pay tribute to my mother's memory, and I honor her life of service. I know that her death brings great sadness to so many of you, and I share that sense of loss beyond measure with you all. When the Queen came to the throne, Britain and the world were still coping with the privations and aftermath of the Second World War, and still living by the conventions of earlier times. In the course of the last 70 years, we have seen our society become one of many cultures and many faiths. The institutions of the state have changed in turn. But through all changes and challenges, our nation and the wider family of realms, of whose talents, traditions, and achievements I am so inexpressibly proud, have prospered and flourished. Our values have remained and must remain constant. The role and the duties of monarchy also remain, as does the sovereign's particular relationship and responsibility towards the Church of England, the church in which my own faith is so deeply rooted. In that faith and the values it inspires, I have been brought up to cherish a sense of duty to others and to hold in the greatest respect the precious traditions, freedoms, and responsibilities of our unique history and our system of parliamentary government.
The